Hi, everyone, and welcome to Simple Marketing Academy. This is where people come to learn all about the very simplest and most cost-effective way to run their marketing for their very small businesses. And it's a great spot for anyone who did not grow up with the internet. So today I am so excited because I will be interviewing Shane Sams of FlipLifestyle.com. Shane and his wife Jocelyn are self-made internet millionaires, and they literally went from being teachers to creating this amazing online business for themselves to teaching others how to do the same thing through membership sites. So let's meet Shane. Hi, Shane.
Hi, Jill. How are you doing?
Great. I am so excited.
I'm excited. I think I'm more excited than you are to be here today. Yeah. I tell you who's not excited is that dog behind you. Your dog is not excited. It is unconscious. That's
Blackie, and he got to play before the interview. So Good. He's happy about that. That was the whole objective, is to get him to poop out while we were on this interview. So he's not over here.
I should have got my dogs involved with all that, because I can hear them running around the house right now. My kids are probably chasing them somewhere.
Yeah, that's good. It's good for both of them. So I'm so excited you joined me. And one thing I just want to tell the audience first off the bat is I actually heard Shane and his wife Jocelyn, who couldn't be with us today, but she is, 50% of this whole program here. And I heard them speak at Pat Flynn's event called FlynnCon in San Diego about probably 2 years ago now, right?
Yeah, that was before the world shut down.
Yes,
you could actually go to live events.
Exactly. And I started following them immediately. That was July. I joined, they have two communities, which Shane will talk about, but I joined one in January. And literally, that's last January, literally my business quadrupled in size. Working with these two, quadrupled. That wasn't even the main reason I started with them. It was for creating my membership site. And that was just a side effect, which was just incredible. So Shane, I would love to have you tell everybody your background.
Oh, do you want the long version or the short version?
I want the lawnmower version.
You want the lawnmower? You want the long lawnmower version, right? All right. So, right now, my wife and I, we have a podcast called the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. I also have another podcast called Membership Masters. We run a community that's called the Flip Lifestyle Community, and we help family-focused entrepreneurs find and use their God-given talents and go out and create membership businesses. So that's online businesses where, people pay you every month, just like Netflix or Disney Plus, but they pay you for your wisdom and your experience and your content, not Mickey Mouse. They're not giving Mickey Mouse their money. They're giving you the money. And, we did not always do this. About, let's see, what year is this? 21. So about 9 years ago, almost a decade ago, in around 2012, I was a school teacher. I was teaching social studies, and, and I was a football coach. On Friday nights, you'd find me down at the football field calling plays. My wife was a librarian, riveting job, but like as an elementary school librarian. And, we had a pretty good life. We always say we had a good enough life. Like, we got paid on Friday, but it ran out on Thursday, like everybody does, right? We had that kind of paycheck. We had health insurance, right? That's what we all get jobs for, right? Is so someone else will pay for our health insurance. And, we had a good little community, good little life, pretty good rhythm. I had two little kids, 18-month-old little girl named Anna Jo, and I had a 3-year-old little boy named Isaac. And I guess it was that 2.2 American dream. You ever heard of that? The 2.2 cars, 2.2 dogs, 2.2 kids. We had an above ground pool. We were in the good neighborhood down here in Southeast Kentucky, right? And I had a situation happen at work, Jill, that just like shook my world. We had like a lot of working parents, we had to go and use daycare centers for our kids during the day so we could go to work and pay the bills. And it turns out that one of the workers in this daycare center was mistreating our child very horrifically. There was a lot of abuse that we would find later in the daycare center, but what we specifically believe happened to Isaac is that they were locking him in bathrooms with the lights out for hours at a time to punish him for potty training accidents. When the person who owned the daycare eventually got arrested, she was holding kids down under beanbag chairs for punishment. She was sitting on them.
She'd suffocate them.
I know it was, and just this, it was all psychological. It was all that kind of trauma. There was nothing sexual going on or anything like that, but it was just really awful. And my son, one morning, he was really young, couldn't really verbalize what was going on. We noticed, looking back with hindsight, that there were signs of all this. Like he was really scared to go in bathrooms, became really scared of the dark, didn't want to be away from me at all, like really attached to me. And I think that it was new parenting. We didn't really see the signs because, I mean, potty training's hard. Kids
You don't know
what's going on. Kids are scared of the dark. And what sucked is this daycare was such a good facility. And the lady, the sweet, beautiful woman who owned it, who's like the grandmother for the town kind of deal, right? She sold it to one of her workers, but then her workers replaced everybody with a bunch of knuckleheads, right? So it went downhill really fast before anybody could even know. So I try not to blame us or ourselves. I don't think there's any way we could have done anything differently. No, but on a specific morning, Isaac verbalized to me that the worker in his facility scared him. And we talked, and during our conversation, I realized something was horribly wrong. But I'm kind of in a bind here because I'm standing in the parking lot. It's the middle of winter. It's freezing cold. I was trying to get him. He was in one of those car seats and had those puffy coats on. So I was wrestling with this puffy coat, couldn't get him out. He was freaking out. And he tells me, I'm scared of so-and-so. And this is and we go down the rabbit hole and I realized something's just bad. But that parent intuition kicked in.
Yeah.
And I had to be at school though. I had to be at work because one, I was a good employee. And like everybody else, my whole life, I'm taught, go to work, be on time, no matter what, sacrifice for the company, right? But I have legal obligations to be in the classroom. I'm a history teacher with 30 juniors waiting on me in the classroom. If I don't show up and something happens, I'm going to get liable for that. But I had nowhere to take my son, so I took him to my daughter's facility. But it was only for kids that were 2 and under. So they told me, we'll keep him for now, but you have to come back. Like I had no choice but to come back. I went to work really fast. My principal was gone that day. I went into an assistant principal's office and told them exactly what I just told you. And she just looked at me really coldly and said, "Is your son in immediate danger?" And I said, "Not right this second." And she said, "Well, if that's the case, I don't have time to watch your class for you. I don't have any subs. The day's already started. You're going to have to handle your personal problems after work."
You're nicer than me. I would have said, well, I can't say.
I'd already avoided burning down the daycare. So I was flipping over the principal's desk was actually lower on the totem pole on this morning. Right. Because, legal authorities got involved and all that situation got straightened out. Right.
I hope every one of them's in jail.
Yeah. One of them went to jail. I don't know about the other ones, but the one that mattered did. So it's all that matters. Now I'm standing in this principal's office. I don't have tenure yet. Right. I don't know what to do. I asked her, I said, "What's going to happen if I leave?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh, you can't leave. You'll get in trouble. You'll get reprimanded. You'll get written up. You'll get all this." And I'm like, "Well, we'll sort that out later." And I left work that day. And as I was driving back to the daycare center to pick up my son, I remember catching my eye in the rearview mirror and just promising to myself, I will never be in this situation again where I am dependent on my income for someone else, where somebody else pays my health insurance, where my son needs me and I'm not allowed to be there for them because someone has deemed their agenda more important than me. I got to figure out something else, but I don't know how I'm going to do this, Jill. I am a trained social studies teacher. That's what I went to college and my master's degree for. I've been a football coach for 10 years and I had no clue what to do next. So I started researching some things and looking at different business models, and I started looking at the real world stuff, and I thought I'd be a handyman, but then Jocelyn reminded me I'm not very handy, right?
That'd be difficult. Yeah.
I can't fix anything. So that's not going to work. I thought I could mow yards and pressure wash houses and do all that. But then I remembered that there's this thing called winter, and you can't make money in the winter. Right. So Jocelyn looked at a few things and, nothing really stuck. And then one day I was getting ready to cut my grass. It was like early spring. It was like one of the first couple cuts of the year. And, instead of my music that I normally listen to, I started downloading business podcasts. Now, podcasts were new back then. This was a new thing. Not many people were listening to podcasts. And I found this podcast called the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn. And just a few weeks before that, Jocelyn and I had driven out to her hometown. And I don't know what made me say this, but I looked over at her and I said, I wonder if I can get 100 people to give us $50. And she looked at me kind of funny, like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what if I could online get 100 people to give me $50. There's 7 billion people on the planet. Like, surely I can get 100 of them to give me some money. And she's like, how are you going to do that? And I'm like, I don't know yet, but I don't know. But if I said it, it has to be true. So I'm getting on the lawnmower to cut the grass, and I listen to Pat Flynn. I don't know who this guy is. I don't even know what episode number it was, but it was the episode where he explained how he was making money online. He had created a study guide for an architecture test, and it was like $50 for him to email you this PDF. And he launched this thing, and he made like $9,000 or something off his first launch. And I tell you, when I heard him say that, I almost wrecked my lawnmower. I could have flipped it. I had a big hill on the right side of my property, and I jumped off that thing, and my lawnmower kept going. Like, I remember it to this day, like just getting off the lawnmower and going, and just kind of going over the hill and rolling in my neighbor's yard. And I took off running inside, and I said, Jocelyn was in cooking lunch for the kids. She was standing over by the stove by the island. I'll never forget it. One of the kids was sitting, I think it was Anna Jo, was sitting right here on the counter eating food or something. I figured it out. I figured it out. She looks at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I know how I'm going to get 100 people to give me $50. And she said, how? And I said, I'm going to charge them money and email them stuff. And she just stopped and looked at me and said, go mow the grass, whatever, like,
exactly.
Yeah. So like, that's what sent me down the rabbit hole of like online business, websites, being able to sell things online, whether it's physical goods from your store or, courses and ideas and trainings and things like that. And about 3 or 4 months later, I was failing miserably, almost as bad as the pressure washing in the winter idea, Jill. Yeah. It was really bad. Like, nothing was going right. And I couldn't figure it out. Like, I all these people kept saying, I make money online. And I was like, I'm doing all the things you're doing, and I'm not making money online.
Right.
And I was trying to, in the beginning, make money with ads. Like, you put ads on your website and you create content and people click the ads, right? That didn't work. And nothing was working. It just was not working. And one night I was about to just quit. I was so frustrated. I was so mad. I remember going into my bathroom, getting ready to brush my teeth to go to bed at like midnight. And I was so depressed. And I was so depressed, I didn't even turn the lights on in the bathroom. So I had like darkness on one side of my face and like the light from the room was shining on the other. And it was this most like stereotypical cliched crossroad moment. Right. And I just prayed. I was like, God, is this real? Like, I've been trying so long and I've made nothing. I haven't made a penny. Not made nothing. Not made a dime. And I prayed. I just said, if it's real, give me a sign. If it's not, let me know. I'll go back to work.
Right.
I'll suffer it out. It'll be good. And right before bed that night, I opened my computer and I logged into my AdWords account and I hit refresh. And I had made absolutely nothing up until that point. And when the screen came back on, I had made 11 cents. I'd had someone, I know, right? As someone had clicked the link on my site and gave me money, and it could have been $11 million. I was so excited, and I showed Jocelyn, and I said, "There it is. One person. I created something, and they sent money back. This has to be real. We've got to be able to do something more to make more money." And Jocelyn, to her credit, could have laughed me out of the bedroom that night. Yeah. And she just kind of tilted her head, and she just looked at it and was like, "What else can we do?" And that's what sent us down the rabbit hole of starting our online businesses that we created back in 2012.
Well, and I think you guys have the perfect personality combo, because you're like this bullet train that's flying 1,000,000 miles an hour and you don't stop. And so you do things and you find something to do and you do it. And then Jocelyn's the engineer keeping you on the track. So I think
I'm more like the jackhammer that's just destroying things, or the chainsaw, and I need Jocelyn to kind of direct. There's this meme. We're very yin and yang. Jocelyn is the opposite of me, right? And there's this meme of this like stick man, and he's throwing up rainbows like everywhere, right? Oh. And then there's this other little stick man looking at the guy throwing up rainbows like he's crazy, and the one stick man walks up and uses the force to stop the rainbows. And then that person goes over to the drawing board, does a lot of math formulas, welds something, makes this and makes this helmet and puts it over that person, the other stick man's face, and it turns it into a laser beam rainbow where you can direct it and actually do it. So that's like the story of our relationship.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm the guy vomiting rainbows, and Jocelyn is the laser beam creator. So.
Well, I was listening to one of the Membership Masters podcasts. I don't remember who you were interviewing, but they were talking about the fact that you can't have two of the same type people. Like this person was talking about how he loves to start things, and he got together with a group of other entrepreneurs who start things and have a million ideas, and they kind of crashed and burned because they didn't have the other personalities in the group that they needed to round out the business.
You need a starter and a finisher. You got to have a starter and a finisher if you're going to do anything.
Yeah.
So Jocelyn took all my ideas and we created our first website. Like that's what the first website we sold content was called elementarylibrarian.com, and we sold lesson plans to elementary librarians. But it was awesome because I had the Cliff Notes version where I had been like throwing my head against the drywall for 6 months. And we built that thing really, really fast, like in a month, and started building an audience around it. And then we launched it.
And also tell everyone how many years later you sold it and what you sold that business for that you started from scratch.
Let's see. So the incident with the daycare center happened in like the winter of 11, 12. I think it was January-ish, somewhere in there. I think it was going back right after Christmas break. And then spring is about when I figured out there was a thing called online business. Mm-hmm. We started creating elementarylibrarian.com in like July of 2012-ish. Okay. Launched it in August. Jocelyn did so much work on that website. Like she didn't even create the lesson plans at first. She just made an outline of what they were, but she did a lot of guerrilla warfare tactics. Like she was going out and finding these librarian forums on Twitter, going to blog posts and commenting with a link back to her site. And like she had built this little email list of like 200 people, something like that, 200, 300 people. We launched in August. We made $2,800, which was as much as one of our teaching salaries. And we only made $4,000 together combined as school teachers in Southeast Kentucky, right? Yeah. So when we got that $2,800 when she launched, that's a big cry from 11 cents. Like that's a huge jump. The next month was like 3,000. It kept growing, 5,000, and then in July of 2013, we made $15,000. In August of 2013, we made $36,000 in 1 month.
That's amazing.
And Jocelyn's just making lesson plans as she goes. It's not like we had this thing all planned out. So we, in September of 2013, we quit our jobs. That was amazing. Just walked in that same office and just left and never went back. And then so fast forward to 2017. It was about 2016. We decided that we wanted to try to sell the site because we had some other things going on. And in 2017, like I don't remember what month it was, but in 2017 we sold it. And the contract was for over $1 million. So
that's incredible. And you built it from scratch. You didn't inherit it. You didn't buy it. You made it. And that's just so amazing. The other thing I would love for you to tell everyone, as you guys can tell, I know all these stories because I've literally heard pretty much every podcast they've done. And sometimes, honestly, even though I know the info, I listen because it motivates me and it makes me feel positive to get going on that day. So sometimes that's why I listen. If it's something I've heard before, just I'm like, okay, I need to get that.
It's like that song. You got to get that song going again in your head, right?
Exactly.
Just put it on repeat. Just play it again.
Exactly. Well, the other story I would love for you to tell them is when you are teachers and you're quitting your job, how did you afford to do this? When people say, I can't afford it, tell them what you two did.
So, I think let's say Jocelyn was not on board with quitting our jobs, by the way. Let me just stress that as much as possible. Jocelyn was definitely like, we're on two ends of a rope, but it's not tug of war. One end is around my waist and I'm running forward, and Jocelyn has the other end, like me dragging her, but she's kind of slowing me down so I don't fall off a cliff. That's kind of how our tug of war works. But somewhere around like March, things were going good enough where I was like, Jocelyn, I think we could have a chance at quitting our jobs. Like, but we had a house, we had a mortgage, all the things, kids, bills, but we were making good money. And we looked at our finances and we said, if it stays like this, there's no way we can quit our job. So my bright idea was, well, why don't we just sell all of this? Let's just get rid of all this. Like, let's just sell our house and we'll move. We'll get it back later. Mm-hmm. We'll go buy something better later. Let's go and downsize everything. So we sold that house. It was like 2,400 square feet, nice neighborhood. Mm-hmm. We moved into, actually the room I'm in right now is an office in the house we moved into. We turned it into our office basically. This was my master bedroom for about 3 years while we were building the business. Okay. So we moved into this smaller house. It was built in the 30s, remodeled in the 70s, but you know what? It had 2 bedrooms for the kids and 1 for us. So it was fine. We were warm, dry, and fed, and it's all good. It's okay. And, but we moved out and that cut our bills down by like $1,000, $2,000 a month. So we did that in May-ish of 2013. Wait, was it 2013? Yeah. So that we would have a chance to quit our job. We thought in May of 2014. Okay. But then everything blew up, and not by luck. I mean, it was just, going out and hustling and building an audience and making this thing happen. Like when it blew up and we made $36,000 in 1 month, we looked at each other and said, if this is what we can do part-time, what in the world could we accomplish full-time?
Exactly.
So that's why we moved and sacrificed our house and, moved into that smaller place. It let us quit our job a year sooner, and it really set us up correctly to invest into our business where we could build like Flip Lifestyle. We could build that business up into something that could be sold. We have another website called ushistoryteachers.com that we still have. So it really freed us up to, and also too, to do the things that we really wanted to do, like be there for our kids, take them to school every day as they got older. So it was amazing. I couldn't believe that we quit our job that fast. Right.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I don't want anyone to think that that's typical, because you have to do very untypical things to get that kind of result. Like, let's sell our house and make everyone think we're crazy and think we're getting divorced and think we're on drugs. And
that's right. I remember you saying
like that. So many people thought we were nuts when we did that. But it all comes full circle. Like the house we live in now, it's like a God thing again. It's like serendipitous. It's like not a coincidence. It's exactly to the square foot double what we gave up. So we ended up moving, I talk about our above ground pool. We gave up our above ground pool. Now we have a lake. We have a 10-acre lake on our property. And it's like, you give up a little to gain a lot. And that's what happens when you are, as an entrepreneur, when you take that risk, you take that next step, you look at something and you say, hey, that could be possible, but there's no guarantee. I'm going all in to see if it works.
Well, and I love the story too that I've heard you tell about you selling an autographed copy of a book, and you had yard sales and just
don't remind me of that book. I still haven't got the book back. I need to go buy that book. I need to find a copy of that book. So what happened was when I was in college, there was this guy named Robert Jordan, and he wrote books that are like, like Game of Thrones was a big movie, and like Lord of the Rings. Like this is like in these are the 3 biggest of those books in the world. And I would actually say that probably the Eye of the World books are sold. Maybe they've sold, maybe not now because Game of Thrones was huge, but this was like the golden triangle of people who write those books. Right.
Right.
And I loved this book. I mean, it was like my world. I just loved the story, the world. I was so into it in high school and college. And I went and met this guy. I went to a bookstore, drove all the way to it, waited in line forever, and got his autograph and a picture with him. And I had this first copy of this book. But when I started the online business, I had no money to buy hosting. I had no money. And I needed $100 to get a year of hosting and a website. And I looked on eBay, and that book was selling for about $100-$200.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, oh my gosh. And I had this autograph. It didn't say my name. It just said, it was just signed by him. Right. Yeah. So I sold that book for $100 to buy my first hosting account. And, I'm glad I did. That was, but even if I got the signed book back, I had to give up the moment of going to meet that guy and get that copy of that book.
Right.
But what I traded for it was way better than that memory.
Well, I think also it makes you really commit to what you're doing. And your brain goes, I am 100% in. Look what I just did. I sold my house. We're putting all our stuff out in yard sales to sell it until we can pay for the next level. And I mean, all the things you did. And I know I've heard you tell a story also about going to a mastermind. And I think it was San Diego. Was it Pat's? I think it was Pat Flynn's.
Yeah, it was Pat.
And what people said to you, just this knowledge you gained from that made you take it to the next level?
Well, you have to, what I've learned, like people think it's like special, but I mean, you can listen to me, people, and tell I'm just a dude from Kentucky. Like if you can't tell that by now, and that's just who I am. I'm sitting here in a black t-shirt and sweatpants talking to Jill. That's what I'm doing. Right. And, what I have learned though, is it is what you learn, and it is your skill set, and it is your talents, and it is your abilities, but really it's putting yourself in the right place to be at the right place at the right time. Pat would have never known my story if I hadn't have ever went out there.
Right.
And we wouldn't have gotten the advice that the advice that took us to a level where we could sell our business if I had not paid thousands of dollars to go and talk to him and see him. I would have never been a guest on his podcast. I've been on his podcast twice now. Like our first episode of his on his podcast is his most downloaded episode ever. And it's been downloaded more times than Gary Vee and Tim Ferriss combined.
Oh my gosh.
On his podcast. So like all that wouldn't have happened if I didn't push and put myself. If I could just send him an email, that wouldn't have worked. I had to physically go there and say, no, this is my story. I had to come tell you this. How can we use this to help other people?
And interestingly, now Pat has, I don't even know, can I say 1 million? I don't even know how many he has. He's one of the top influencers in the
his
entrepreneur space.
I think his podcast has been downloaded 70 million times now.
Yeah, it's insane. And do you know that when he does his Q&As for, like, I'm part of his SBI Pro, also that group, when he gets a Q&A and anyone asks about memberships, he says, follow Shane and Jocelyn Sands.
Oh, does he really?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
I've heard him say it a few times.
I'm going to text him. I'm be like, I heard. Yeah. I'm going to text him real quick. And be like, I heard that you said. That's awesome.
He'll say, go, these are the ones you can learn from. They're, the top of their game. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but essentially, I've heard him twice direct people on a major platform. So it expands even beyond that. So when you take those risks and calculate it, obviously, and I remember you saying also that you and Jocelyn, that was literally your savings. Like, it was scary to take that.
It was very scary to take that trip when we first did it, because we didn't know, we were new to entrepreneurship. I mean, it happened so fast that we didn't really know we were too naive to understand that you have to save and plan for the future in business for that rainy day, right? You know what I mean? Like, when you get a paycheck every 2 weeks, it comes. So if you run out, it's going to replenish itself, right? But when when you quit your job and a month later, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, what are we doing here? Right. So we didn't know what was going to happen. And we had actually hit a little lull in sales, like the first few months we were out in the real world, So it was very scary to invest that much money to go over there and to do that. But like, I still talk to the people that I met to this day in that room, and they open doors for everywhere else that we've ever been. Like, I mean, all the people that we met in the room, Pat, Chris Tucker, that group, like, that's how I got to know John Lee Dumas and Kate Erickson, and so like it was fascinating. And every time I've ever went somewhere physically, Jill, something amazing has happened in my life.
I think part of that's your personality too, because you and Jocelyn you don't sit there and wait for things to happen, as you can tell by all the, and just think it to death. I mean, you analyze it, but you don't overthink it and wait. Yeah. And so you make things happen.
You have to launch.
Yeah.
You have to try. That's the only way to know. You can research things to death and you're still guessing at the end of all your research. Until you do it, if you don't go, you'll never know. I mean, you just got to try. And
that's been the hardest thing for me, I think, to learn is, and I know you guys were telling me there's enough in that membership site, and here I am adding videos, but I need to teach them this and this and this and this. And I know you've taught us that you can actually overwhelm somebody. So you've got to be careful of that too. Yep. So it's been, So,
and we still do that. And I just had a team meeting yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah. Yesterday we went through the blueprint. We're redoing the blueprint and changing the way the library is laid out, because it's still, even after all of our experience and all the iterations, we're constantly trying to improve that. Like, that doesn't ever stop. Yep. So if you wait for it to be perfect or done, you'll never go. And then you won't even know if it's really perfect, because nobody saw it until you launched it. So we're still making iterations and changes on things.
And the blueprint Jane's talking about is actually I guess a course or a ton of information within the your life community. And just for all of you listening, he and his wife actually let you jump in there, get involved in every single thing and every aspect of it for free for 30 days. And if you don't do it, you're hurting yourself. Trust me, I've been a member for a year, and I've been treated great and learned so much, from day one. And here we are, this is a year later, and I'm having a conversation with Shane. And if I have a question, they'll answer me. It's not jump in and then we ignore you. So this course is in there. There's a community in there. There's people that care about you and answer your questions. And it's just amazing. So anyway, we're going to put a link in, but you absolutely have to check out the community. How do you pass it up when it's free for 30 days? And you can even jump on a member call and ask Shane questions too, and he'll answer them.
Were you on the last member call? Did you go to the last member call? It was a midday one, so it was the lighter crowd, right?
My husband had surgery that day. I missed it.
Oh no,
That's the first one I've missed.
Is he okay?
He's fine. He had eye surgery. Yes, yes. But we were up at UCLA Hospital in LA, so I couldn't jump on. But that's the first one I've missed.
It was insane. Like there was you know how I'll do success stories in between questions.
Yep.
They were crazy. There was someone did a $14,000 launch, and someone did 39 members last week, and people were making sales on the thing, right on the middle of the call. It was absolutely bonkers. There was something in the water last week.
I saw the
call was insane. You need to go back and watch the replay. You talk about inspiration.
Oh, I'm going to watch the replay.
It will fire you up when you watch the replay.
You just reminded me I haven't seen it yet. But I also saw that in the Facebook group, that 14,000. Yes. And, it's kind of cool because your personality and the way you are in general, anybody attracts your tribe. Like, as they say, your vibe attracts your tribe. And so even though in business, don't talk about this, don't talk about that, I'm kind of over it. I'm 58. I'm allowed to be over it. I am who I am. And if you don't like what I think or believe in or feel strongly about, that's okay.
Hey, man.
I'd rather
chase you away if you're not going to listen.
Exactly. You get in big trouble for not listening.
I could talk fake. I could be the fake guy. You know what I'm saying? We just did my dog just ran in.
Aw.
Say hi, Joe. Hey, buddy. Okay.
Is that Jocelyn?
All right. That'll be a good one for the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Jocelyn peeked in. She's in there.
Hi, Jocelyn. I didn't see her, but
the kids are they're packing our newsletter right now. The kids are.
Oh, they are. We're going to talk about how you put your kids to work.
That's right. She's supervising the newsletter right now.
Okay. Awesome.
What was I even talking about before my dog just crashed in here? Look, now my dog's sleeping behind me.
Yeah.
Matching dogs.
Exactly. Oh, they're such.
What was I talking about?
Oh, about how you need to be yourself.
Now I've got two more dogs in.
Oh, can never have too many. Doggies are always allowed on my podcast. This is real life.
We don't mess around. I told you.
Right.
This is family-focused business.
They are always welcome on my podcast.
They're always welcome in our room, too, but they're just knocking down doors to get in here. What was I talking about? What were we we were
being yourself.
Being yourself. Like that. This is the perfect example of it. Like we have all our kids run inside when we're doing the Q&As. They'll walk in. They'll be doing stuff. One time, my little girl, she came in and the chat room, everybody was laughing. And we were like, what are y'all laughing at? What's so funny? And they're like, look behind you. And Anna Jo was sitting in the back of the room. We were at our bedroom at our house doing the Q&A. Yeah. She was sitting in the back of the room. She had gotten out a bag of rotisserie chicken. And she was sitting behind us with a whole chicken in her lap out of the bag. And she was eating the chicken and just listening to us talk, right? And that's you can't fake that. Why would you want to fake that?
I think there's so much fake and fraud in the world right now.
Oh, yeah.
I won't get on my soapbox, but today especially. And I think it's really important that honesty and truth and the real story and just being real is so important now.
Well, that's why we started Flip Lifestyle. That's why we started it. We had a chance, we didn't plan on everybody's like, oh, you teach online business people how to start online businesses. That's a great path to go down. And I'm like, no, I sold lesson plans to librarians and history teachers for years. Leave me alone. I sold playbooks to football coaches, right? We do other things too. And, but we had one thing that we really suffered from in the beginning is I did go down some rabbit holes that were bad. I found black hat people and people that just wanted your money and weren't really teaching you what to do. And when we quit our jobs, first of all, everybody thought we were crazy. My mom thought we were crazy. My friends thought we were crazy. My poor grandfather, Jocelyn's grandfather, one time we went out to Muhlenberg County, Kentucky to visit him. And he shook my hand when I was leaving, and I looked down, there was a $20 bill in it. And I looked up at him, and he goes, "Son, I know you're not working right now, and there's some gas money to get you home." And I didn't have the heart.
Sweet.
I know, right? I didn't have the heart to tell him no, but he didn't understand that we were killing it at the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, he's so sweet.
But a few months later, one of Jocelyn's friends said, "I want to quit my job. I want to stay home and homeschool my kids. I've been watching you guys do this now for a few months. It's got to be, you figured out something." So Jocelyn helped her, and she quit her job. Right. And
that's awesome.
And then her husband came up to me and told me how much it had meant to him and how it had changed their life. And, and he was really emotional. Like, he was crying at church. Yeah. I was in the back hall at church, and he was crying. And I was like, man, this is crazy. So when we talked about that, we looked at each other and said, well, hey, we've figured something out here that worked a couple times, and it had worked for Lindsay, and it helped her and her family. And maybe we need to go into this world, and we need to be like Pat, and we need to be like these other people, and we need to tell them how to do this stuff in our way, which is the membership model. And we need to help other families do what we did. There's got to be other people that had a similar situation with their boss, or aren't making enough money, or feel trapped and don't realize, man, all you need is 100 people to pay you $50 a month to make $60,000 a year. Like, you can do this,
Exactly.
So that's why we started Flip Lifestyle, was to go out and make it a mission to help people and be the honest people. And that's why we sold Elementary Librarian, was so we could focus on this full time and help as many people as we could out in the world. And like, everybody else wants the Lamborghini. Everybody else wants the millions and millions of dollars. I want my Fiji and my Bali and my Thailand, whatever, And I'm like, no, you don't. You want a good, stable, predictable income.
Yeah.
You want to be there and pick your kids up off the bus.
And I think people learn that as they get older. That's like an age and life experience lesson as we go. So
that's why I make fun of all the 20 to 25-year-olds on the podcast. So I'm like, you can join if you want to, if you're an old soul, but if you want to come hang out at the adult table, you need to prove it.
And I think I've told you and Jocelyn this, my son is a big influencer. He teaches, his biggest course in the past has been teaching Amazon private labeling. So he has the Lamborghini and the house and all of that. But,
and that's a great thing for a certain chapter in your life. Right. And that's a great thing if you want. He's
starting to, I think, be like,
is this fulfilling?
Yeah,
satisfying me.
He likes the car, but he doesn't drive it that much because his truck is way more comfy, and he's just not extravagant in other ways. He doesn't have extravagant clothes, or he likes to sit home, play board games. So he is a little bit that older soul. So you can already see him being like, nah, I don't really,
But like, if you're a parent, and you've got kids and you're going to work, you ain't got time for Lamborghinis. You're trying to freaking change diapers and get kids to school and practice, and and that's but it really is so simple. Like, 200 people at $50 a month is $120,000 a year. Like, that puts you in the upper percentiles of income. Yep. And it's all possible on the internet, using your God-given talents and wisdom and experience to just go out and lead people. So
exactly,
it's a whole new world for most people out there right now.
And then, it definitely is, which is the perfect segue, because one of the things I wanted you to tell everyone is, what the heck's a membership? How does it work? What's in it? What is this thing?
Yeah. So subscription and memberships are, think about Disney Plus and Netflix, right? It's content that you pay for monthly. That's it. I mean, that's all it is. So what you have to do is figure out what you can create to go out there and put content in front of people to help them solve problems. How can you connect people together, and how can you coach them through that process, right? So what I've seen 1,000 different memberships now. So what we do is right now is we teach people how to do online business, how to create memberships, how to lead their communities. But before, what we did was we made lesson plans and we put them online. And just like Netflix, you would log in with your username and password, flip through the library, and get what you wanted to consume that day, right? So that was a content-driven membership. We've seen so many other people, though, like, do crazy things. Like, we've got that farming farm stuff is definitely a theme lately in the Flip Lifestyle community. Like, we've got this guy out in San Diego named Kenny. Did you come to the little thing I did out on the patio that night? I can't remember if you were there at the Flip Lifestyle.
No, because I wasn't in the community.
That's right. You just heard about us on stage that day.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd heard you. Yeah.
So this guy came out to our little meetup we had there in San Diego. His name was Kenny Troiano. He's got a podcast called Bread to Perfection. And what he does is he teaches people how to raise backyard chickens in cities. That's what he does.
In cities. That's amazing, isn't it?
In cities. Yep. Backyard
Wow.
Chickens in cities. And because people like eggs and have their chickens, I guess.
Yeah.
And he has like a couple hundred people in his membership. He's got a huge podcast. Like if you're into chickens, you're listening to Kenny, right? And so he came into the Flip Lifestyle universe and he put a membership site out there. And that's how he monetized his pod. He was already talking about it.
Right.
So he just came on and done it. We've had people start memberships for fantasy football. We've got a lady up in North Dakota. Her name's Teresa Perlyberg. That's really her name. She has an awesome name.
Yeah, that's so really fun.
I know, right? Perlyberg.
Yeah.
And she lives in North Dakota. And she came into the community and we said, what do you do? And she said, I do needle felting, which is like a niche within, what's it called? When you have the sticks and you've got the yarn.
Oh, a knitting?
Knitting. It's like a niche of knitting. That's how far down this goes, right? It's like one step down. And she said, yeah, we needle felt and I turn sheep wool into stuffed animals. I actually have one. Do you see it right there?
Oh,
it's
a little bit. Is it like a little lamb or something? Is it a sheep? It's a teddy bear. Okay.
Yep. And
I see a cute little one.
Right, exactly. So what she does is, but she's like, that's not all I do though. Like the whole hobby is this.
Right.
You have your own sheep, you shear the sheep, and you take your wool and dye it, and then you turn it into the teddy bear.
So her members have their own sheep.
Yes, many of her members have their own sheep.
Gosh.
Now, some of them don't. Let me tell you about it. So what she did, she launches the membership, and she puts courses in teaching people how to make. Here's the giraffe course. Here's the teddy bear course. Here's the whatever course. She has stuff about sheep, I'm sure, in there. And then, but she has 400 members at the last time I talked to her of people who are sheep shearing, needle felting enthusiasts. Wow. And her business partner, they started selling wool to some of their customers, like as a supplier. And then they just bought a school. Like they bought an old elementary school and they're turning the classrooms into like Airbnb rooms. And
my gosh.
Yes. And they're using the gym and they're having summits. Like people are flying to North Dakota. They stay at the school and they have like, and they're turning the gym into like a conference center, basically.
She's awesome.
And it's just all membership. It's just all based on this online membership, right?
That is amazing.
We got another guy. His name's Jason Guyman. He lives in where's he live? Northern Kentucky. And he's the pressure washing king. That's what he calls himself. And he figured out how he was a firefighter, figured out how to make a good living pressure washing. Which was funny because that was one of the things I couldn't do. Right?
Yeah.
and he figured out how to make his living pressure washing. He made so much money during the summer months that he could take the winter off, basically, and then in the winter time, he figured out to make more money. He hangs Christmas lights. So he figured, he's got this very seasonal business.
Yeah.
But now he teaches people how to do that. And I mean, he's got like 200 members paying him like $150 a month teaching that.
That's amazing.
Membership.
I think there's no better time with the coronavirus and people being forced to be at home and figure out different things and all the layoffs. There's no better time.
You got to have a subscription. Even brick and mortar businesses, Jill, need a subscription because it creates stability. Yeah. Like I know how much money I'm going to make 6 months from now.
Yeah.
Because I can predict it. I know how long members stay. I know how much I charge each month. I know how many members I've got. Like I can look out and say, I know how much I'm going to make. When the pandemic hit, I looked at our numbers. I mean, this is what's crazy. Our teaching business grew, even though schools shut down, because everybody went online looking for resources for Google Classroom and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, online, every person I know in my circle had the best year ever in 2020 because if the governor of our state shuts down, our businesses, they don't shut me down. Because I can sell to Iowa or Idaho or China or wherever. Right. And the whole world is my oyster when I have a membership site. And once you start stacking members, like you get 100 people, your risk is spread so much farther out because, 10 people quit. Okay, I'll go get 11 and I'll grow. Yeah. It's not the same thing as having a few clients here and there. Right. So you don't have to worry as much. It's so much safer than any other kind of business model.
Yeah, it's so true. And I know, I didn't obviously know about COVID and not specific to memberships, but I've been preaching for years, you have to be online. You've got to have a segment of your business online. You have to. And now it's like, oh, I look like a prophet, don't I?
Yes, you do. Everybody found Zoom last year, and I'm like, I've been using Zoom for since they started.
I love Zoom. It's so awesome.
All these tools are here waiting for us. And it really is so easy to build an audience, to be a podcaster, to be a YouTuber, to whatever. I mean, you can just go live on your own Facebook page. It's okay.
Yeah.
And people will start listening to you. And that's how you start building an online business with people all over the world. I think we have members in 42 countries right now or something.
That's
incredible.
And it's so
we live in
cool
Southeast
when you're
Kentucky.
helping people. Just to be able to help other people. When your business is something that helps other people, it is so fulfilling. Even my my Fox Social Media, my agency, when my clients, I had my one of my clients last week or the week before canceled our meeting. He's like, I can't talk today. We just signed 6 clients. I'm working on the 7th. And this is an accounting agent. This isn't somebody, these are big contracts. When I started working with them a year ago, they would sign maybe 1 a month. And we built this, we just from scratch and in a certain, the right way. And we built the right structure and continue to grow their marketing effort. And they do have a salesperson as well, who is great.
Well, that's just part of the funnel.
It's part of the
the internet's
package.
the top of the funnel. That's it.
But that makes my entire day. When somebody says to me, I got a client, I am that's the thing I'm the happiest about.
And also too, the thing about that is I've seen people who want to make an impact in the world, and maybe they've got their local store, or maybe they've got their smaller thing, and they're trying to make a difference, going one-on-one, but memberships makes the biggest impact because you get 1,000 people in your community. It's easy to manage that many people the way we do it through our system. And you got 1,000 people out there throwing stones and causing ripples, and you're impacting all of them. We have one of our people, her name's Rebecca Decker, and she has a website called Evidence-Based Birth. And I always brag on her because her business is so amazing. It's a membership of nurses, doulas, and midwives. So these people that she serves, are actually out delivering babies every single day of the year. Thousands of babies. And she used to be a professor at UK and just was really trying to get her message out there. And to see her build that membership site and go all in and see not only the impact in her family and the financial impact, but her work literally keeps babies alive. Well, and that can't happen anywhere but a membership site.
Well, and you can, and people, there's a lot of great people out there, and they have a mission to help, a specific charity or to do something. And what I think, there's some people are a little misguided. They think, oh, all those people who make money, that's a bad thing. Well, no, that's not a bad thing, because although an individual can help a charity for 3 hours, somebody with a business and a kind heart can help a charity for 10 years with their financial contribution. There's nothing charities need more than financial contributions. And
money
the best way you
mission,
can impact.
Money makes the mission possible.
100%.
And if that wasn't true, 100%. we wouldn't take up Lottie Moon offering every Christmas at church. You know what I'm saying? The Southern Baptist Convention wouldn't have a mission board that has one job: raise money for missionaries, because plane tickets cost money, impact costs money. And it's awesome to be able to give your time. I'm not saying that.
Yes, it is. Both are awesome.
Yeah, both are incredible and 100%. Needed. But the more money you make, the more impact. Pat, go back to Pat. Pat works with this group who builds schools in Africa.
It's amazing. Right? Pencils for Promise is his, right?
Yeah, Pencils for they build school. And then Russell Brunson and his crew, they help people who for trafficking. They eliminate trafficking. They donate. So you got all these people they can't give that kind of money and resources if they're not out making it too.
Exactly. And it's interesting that you said that, because my husband and I actually work with a charity here we have for 5 years just on different things. And this woman is amazing. And she has created an entire home and system to bring in girls that are victims of sex trafficking, and to give them, they have to be sober. They have to go to school. School meaning, if you want to learn to cut hair, be an electrician, be a doctor, anything you want of your training, they have to volunteer and they have to work part-time. And she makes them get their driver's license so they have independence. And then they have to buy a car through this program they have where their loan is only $2,000. So they have responsibility. They're building credit. She is absolutely amazing. I always say she needs to run our welfare system because she's incredible.
Right.
But it's the same mission. And she has saved so many girls. And one of the first girls she saved is a doctor. This
crazy?
Girl whose life was horrible, not by her own fault by any means, is now a doctor. It's just incredible. So it's,
but that doesn't happen though. Like I guarantee you, those $2,000 cars don't happen out of thin air. Like there are people behind that pushing resources and finances and all of that, but they have to go make those finances and resources to turn it back into the system. Like my goal one day is to be able to give like $1 million in a single year to my church. Like I think that would be amazing. I'm not saying that out loud, but I'm just saying like that's why we do what we do, is so we have the resources for us first, our family first, the 100%. Outside community that we live in, and anywhere else that we can make a difference in the world. And that's the only way you can do that is with business, and the internet lets you do it anywhere. Like that's crazy. Yeah, when I hear about someone in Australia quitting their job because some idiot from Kentucky recorded a few videos and talked to them. Like that's incredible. Like you just can't do that anywhere else.
Except Shane's selling himself short here because the blueprint inside of the Flip Your Life community has quite a bit in it. It's pretty simple to follow, I think. It's video format, which I love because I'm a visual learner. I think you have it in audio format too.
We do. We have it it's video, audio, and text because we have it in that way we have workbooks and stuff because some people everybody likes to learn differently, and we're school teachers, so we knew this. So we tried to create it where everybody would have exactly what they needed, basically.
It's perfect, and it's laid out so that you can grab the section you need. So and then jump on and ask questions when you have them as well. So but anyway, I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to ask you today. So is there ever a business, have you ever come across a business where you said there's no way your particular business can have a membership site? The only time that happens is when people have not defined the problem they solve. Like that. So someone will come in and, like we've had people try to start like book clubs and stuff. And even with an audience, that's still a little weird because you got to niche down and you got to figure out what problem that solves. Like, or what kind of books? So like, is it a personal development book club? Are we just reading fiction to hang out? Like, so sometimes when the problem is not very well defined, that becomes a problem, but not really. I mean, very, very few and far between, even because that just needs to be massaged into a problem, right? Like once you pick a category, but not really. I mean, we got people teaching people how to play guitar and they're not rock stars. We got, people, I mean, you name it, there's a membership inside the Flip Lifestyle community. We got mindset coaches. We've got a guy doing, he's helping realtors do something. We've got subscription boxes where people like, you get Green Those
Chef and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I know, right? So there's a model behind that. Like that's that whole model is that people take their box, go to companies, get them to give them free stuff for samples, and put them in there, and then they send that subscription box to subscribers, and then they make money off of affiliate sales on the back end of it. Now, some of them are like the cooking ones, are they have a chef and they put the food in and whatever. Right. But if you never notice, those ingredients still come from a company or whatever. Yep. So we got people doing subscription boxes. I mean, I've not seen very many. I think there was even a plumber once that like just started charging people like $100 a month. And like, if you needed plumbing, you called him or something like that.
Yes. I remember here and people were criticizing him because he was teaching his craft and he goes, I'm not losing
or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it was weird. Gaining them. And he did because people felt
our doctor is a membership.
Really?
Our doctor. Yeah.
Really?
It's crazy. Like it's so weird that he's in our little town and he's doing this. Cause when I met him, I was like, this is what we teach people. And he's like, really? And so he got sick of the medical system and got sick of paperwork and got sick of having to have 17 people fill out papers and all that. And he's like, I'm just going to go direct to consumer. He charges $150 a family a month. He's got like 500 families. And he's like, I'm done. And it's him and a nurse and he knows you by name and you get an hour with him. I mean, it's
wow,
amazing.
That's a lot.
And this is a local guy just charging a membership site, basically.
That is so cool. And it's probably much better care than
I can text
than a
him.
great doctor who wants to give you good care but can't because of the time constraints. And
when I had COVID, my family and I all got COVID, and we were really, really sick. Like I ended up in the hospital, but the whole time I'm texting him, asking him what to do.
Yeah.
And like, hey, my oxygen's down. Hey, my heart rate is this. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And he's just and we can call in prescriptions. I never have to go in.
Oh,
it's amazing.
So nice.
It's absolutely amazing. That's the power of the membership model is you can reach out, build your own community, build your own base, not rely on anybody else. And you just serve that community and they'll take care of you on the other side of it.
So let's say I am hypothetically someone that says, I love this, Shane. I want to do this. I kind of have an idea. One, I don't know if my idea will work. And two, I don't have a mailing list or an audience right now. What do I do? Where do I start?
Neither did we. Right. So that's how everybody starts. The first thing you got to do is you have to come up with your idea. You got to figure out what problem you solve. We have trainings for that in the Flip Lifestyle community. They'll take you all the way through and help you figure out your idea. Okay. The next thing you have to do is vet your idea to see if it is or can make money in the marketplace. I'll tell everybody listening, there are no guarantees. You're not going to be able to sit there with a notepad and a cup of coffee and figure out a winning idea. If it was that easy, everybody would do it. Mm-hmm. But that's why entrepreneurs are like 5% of the population or something crazy, right? You got to get out there and you got to try it and you got to put it in the marketplace and you got to see if you could do it. But success leaves clues, and there are clues that you can follow to see, hey, that person's making money off a similar idea. Hey, there's an industry built around this idea. I just have to figure out how to get my piece of that pie. And then you've got to actually take action. You've got to go and you've got to build out the infrastructure, which is not hard. Like when we started out in 2012, Jill, I was coding. I had to learn how to code.
I could not do that.
No, it was ridiculous. But now there's tools like Kajabi that just website, email list, let's go, ready to go, ready to sell stuff. So it's all plug and play at this point. If you can use Microsoft Word, you can start an online business. Basically.
Well, and I use Kajabi now too, and I am not technical. I am definitely a right-brained person, so it's pretty easy. So
there's a video at fliplifestyle.com. Anyone can start the free trial and go take that course today if they want to do.
That's a better idea, because I think sometimes people only look at one portion of something. And this is where what I see in marketing all the time is they only want to do Facebook ads. Well, you need to have your Facebook page optimized. You need to have posts. You need to have, you need to have a strategy. And then they might say, oh, my Facebook ad didn't work. Well, who did you target? What did you put in it? Yep. Do you have a call to action? Who's your audience? There's just so much to it. So I think it's a better idea to go and use check out the free trial and see the big picture. It's not overwhelming. It just gives you a bigger picture idea.
Well, everything builds on everything else. It's just like math. Like you have to have an idea, then you have to turn it into a product, then you have to put it in front of your customer, then you have to convert the customer into a member, then you have to keep your member. So like everything has to build on it. This isn't something you can skip ahead. That's where people get overwhelmed. They look at everything and they're like, I got to do all the things that guy did. But no, you got to do what I did, not do what I do.
Right.
So like you gotta take it one step at a time. And the membership game too is slow. It's not slow motion. That's a bad way to say it. It's like patient. Like everybody else is chasing and running for millions and trying to win the lottery and all this stuff we watch on Shark Tank. Right.
Yeah.
But the membership game is, well, if I add one member every day paying me $50 a month, then I'll have 365 of those by the end of the year. And like that's the membership game, is take it step by step, eat the elephant one bite at a time, and you look up all of a sudden and you quit your job and you can do whatever you want. So
now, if let's say you have somebody that has, kind of like this audience, a lot of members of this audience where they're brilliant. They know what their idea is. They know what they do already, but they want to bring it into an online format. But they were working in corporate. They don't have a mailing list. They don't have a social media following. How do you recommend they start? Do they need to build a list first? What do you think?
I think you always start with the product. Right. The example I give always is, if I had a store, say I was going to open a store and I was going to sell knives, and I was going to go out and I was going to go and put it in the newspaper, buy some ads. And I was going to, they still make newspapers where you live. They do here.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was going to go buy a bunch of ads, get some billboards, tell everybody about my store. I was going to go rent my building, and I was going to go put the shelves out, get a cash register. I was going to do all these things to tell everybody about my knife store. I was going to start writing articles and then local editorials about knives. Right. And then I have my grand opening. I cut the ribbon, I open it up, and the door opens and everybody walks in, and I forgot to buy knives.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like, why don't you get your inventory first, right? Well, your inventory online is your membership area, your courses, your community, things like that. So that's what we teach is we teach to figure out your idea, turn it into the prototype of the product first. And then you start creating content. Like that's where you go next is you either create podcasts, YouTube channels, blog posts, social media posts. And that's how you start building a following is you start talking in the marketplace. You go into the marketplace and you say, this is how I do things. And this is how I want you to do things. And if you like what I'm doing, come to me and follow me. But you've got to take your place up like out in the marketplace. Now, there's a lot of introverts out there like Jocelyn, right? Yeah. That doesn't mean you're like me being all crazy on camera and talking on a microphone. Like you can blog, you can write, on yourself, and you can be found in search engines. You can get other people to write for you. You can have a partner maybe that's more extroverted that can go out on camera. Like there's a lot of ways to do it. I know introvert millionaires and I know extrovert millionaires. So anybody can do this. You just have to figure out where you fit in the online world.
And then I'm a triple threat.
You do it all.
So you like that? Well, actually, I shouldn't say that because I don't like blogging. I found that out because I avoid it. So what I started doing was recording my YouTube show, editing that YouTube show, then just downloading the audio, which is already edited, uploading that as my podcast. And then you can have a site like rev.com. You can either get the text file or have them transcribe it, and you upload that as your blog. So you can actually, that's what I mean, triple threat. You can do one piece of content. You can record one piece of content and turn it into 3 so that I also find that my podcast and my YouTube channel, they're identical information. Yeah. The audiences are different.
Yeah, people consume different content.
And what's really interesting is the most popular episode. I have one on my YouTube channel with like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get this wrong, 86,000 views or something. Insane, way more than all my others. And that's not near the top of my most popular podcast.
Yep.
So
it's
that's
crazy.
The other cool thing about doing it this way.
Everywhere. Then you hire someone to do all that for you, and it becomes really fun.
Yeah, that would be nice. I need to get to that.
That's your next step, Jill.
That's my next. I do have a VA who does my content creation with my Fox social media agency, but my next one would be that because I find myself not loving the technical stuff, not my thing, and I start avoiding. So yeah.
And then somebody else can probably do it better than you anyway. So
well, and then
I am convinced that everything and everyone is replaceable, even me. And if I can just keep replacing myself, then all I get to do is talk to cool people. And that's my goal in life right now is just to talk to cool people like you, Jill. So
thank you. My recommendation is you don't replace yourself on the podcast. I don't think
that'll be years down the road when I'm getting old and gray. I'm already got a little gray though. So I got a little gray in the wings. So
you have children and company, and that comes with it. I cover all mine up. So I'm a grandma on top of being a mom. So
yeah, I've not went down the dye route yet. My dad does that though. Don't tell anybody I said that in person.
Does he? Yeah. My husband refuses. He's like, hey, I like this gray. I'm keeping it.
Hey, listen, it's a crown of glory, baby. That's what I like to say. I love it. I love the wings, man. As long as it doesn't fall out, I'm cool. Just don't fall
there
out.
You go.
That's all I ask. I pray every night. Please, God. Just let it all stay in. Turn it whatever. It can turn blue for all I care. Just let it stay in.
Well, and the other thing that I wanted to just touch on is for others that have kids, I think one of the best things we can ever teach children is entrepreneurship. Not only because they're going to have, be able to create their own business, but I think it creates confidence, problem solving skills. I think it can overcome a lot of today's problems. Like, people being depressed and people being, suicidal because they can't figure out a solution to the problem they're in. So I think teaching kids at a young age gives them such a boost in life and business and everything. And one of the things that I think is very cool is that your kids are now a small part of the business. So if you want to talk about that, and that you pay them.
We do pay our kids. They're not slave labor. They're not child labor. And you know, I think one of the benefits of doing what we do, especially like, I mean, I'm a location independent online entrepreneur. I mean, I don't have to be anywhere. I don't have to do anything. We roll out of bed at our house. We don't get up early if we don't have to, you know, especially since we're still in virtual school. So our kids, they don't have school till 8:30. So we just, we get up about 8:26, something like that, you know? And, but the cool thing is they just see everything that's going on. Like our kids are just now starting to get what we do. My son's just realized that I'm a podcaster and I'm a YouTuber. And like, he's like, wait a minute, these people I watch, that's what you do? And I'm like, yes, that's it, son. And they see the life that they get to live and how different it is. And we're very, very vigilant about explaining to them, like, none of this, you were born into this and you don't know anything different, but let me tell you how the real world is. So making sure they know they have to earn something that they have.
Absolutely.
And but it opens other opportunities too. Like I do a paper newsletter every month that I mail out to people to help them with their marketing for memberships. And our kids, you know, they're in there right now printing and packing, and they pack them and they mail them out. And you know, when we need something done, and if the kids want money, I'm like, okay, but you've got to do X, Y, Z, like in the business. We do videos. They're public, and they're on camera when we do like travel reviews and things like that. So you know, they're getting. I try not to push them into it or make them do it, because I want them to just understand what's available. Right. I don't want to pigeonhole them into doing what we do. You know, they may want to go work for somebody else and they may love that, and that's fine.
Right.
But it is awesome to know that they're getting an experience that nobody else gets, because they're in the behind the scenes of a business that's, you know, impacting people all over the world. And that's crazy. Like that's nuts. Like I didn't know any better. I didn't know any better growing up what you could do. You just picked a path and that's where you went. But they get to see all these people doing all these businesses. And I'm about to go on the road for this live event company. We're training salespeople to sell our products on the road.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then but I'm going to take the kids with me. I'm just going to sit them on the front row.
Heck yeah.
Just like watch, like here, watch what happens. You know, watch all these people get up and run and buy our thing and join our community and be a part of what we're doing.
Yep.
You know, so like that's cool to be able to give them those experiences. And sometimes when you're in a 9-to-5, like God bless it. I mean, I did it for 15 years, and that's just you get stuck and you can't give that kind of opportunity to your kids.
And that's you know, and we're older than you are, so when we didn't have that, there wasn't that opportunity when our kids were growing up.
This wasn't here 15 years ago.
I know
it wasn't here. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. Brand new.
You know, I was fortunate. My husband was the one who worked so hard, so I got to stay home with the kids, because I think that's the most important thing in the world for me personally. And so I thought that, you know, I was very lucky. But I love that they get to learn, one, you're not entitled. You're entitled to the opportunity you create for yourself, because there's a little too much of that out there right now. And kids need to learn that, you know, be grateful and work hard and earn. You have to earn what you get. And there are a lot of opportunities and to take advantage of them. But I get the Membership Masters newsletter. And when it comes in my mailbox, there's a little sticker, a little silver sticker on the back that's what do you call that?
It's embossed. It's like a little stamper. That's the word. Packed by Isaac and Anna Joe.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, if you'll notice, there'll be months where that sticker's not there. That's because they didn't pack them that month.
They only get this. Interesting.
That's right. So like if they're banking too much cash, I got to slow them down a little bit. I got to get them out of the mix somewhat.
Yeah. But, that's funny.
When they pack them though, we're sticking them in there.
It's so cool. And it's great that they're starting their bank accounts. And I know when my kids were little, when they would get, and they both acted, actually. We live in Orange County, California, so we're pretty close to Los Angeles. And both of my kids were on the first year of Everybody Hates Chris, the TV show. So we spent 3 days a week at Paramount Studios, and they would get paychecks. And so I would not let them have those. They went into, part of it goes into a Coogan account. That's a whole nother story. But these particular checks went into their bank accounts that I controlled for them. And over the years, they'd ask for the money. And I'm like, no, you have your own bank account. but this money is staying here. And I gave it to both of them when they bought their first house.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have a 28-year-old and a 25-year-old who are own their third house now, each of them.
That's amazing.
And then not that it was a ton of it, but guess what? Then they were like, I'm so glad you didn't let us spend that.
I know, right?
I earmarked it. And I was that warden mother with the bank account, You
gotta be. Isaac always asks for his money in his bank account because he wants to buy stuff. And I'm like, no,
that's what I was like. No, they had their own where they were allowed to use it.
I let them keep their birthday money.
Yeah.
I let them keep that. I don't make them.
Yeah.
I don't make them put. Yeah, they can spend that. Like when people give them money, or grandpa and grandma give them money or whatever.
They got that.
But some they don't know how much money they've actually got.
So their work money went in there. They never really saw the checks either.
Yeah.
So it was easy. Part went into their Coogan. That's just to protect it from unscrupulous parents. It's a law for kids that act. But so they got to do that. But
I pay them $10 an hour, which is pretty good for a 10-year-old and 12-year-old.
Really good. That's really good.
But I want them to learn, like, I want them to see how much money that is too. Because you could totally screw that up if you're not. The way I taught the kids money too. I would give them. We did this activity. We homeschooled for a while, so I would give them their $10 if they worked for an hour, right?
Yeah.
But then we had it divided up by a Dave Ramsey budget. So they would have to give me like $250 for rent. Like not really for rent, but I was like, some of that disappears.
Yeah.
You don't get all of that. Right.
Exactly.
And wait till I tell you the part about the government taking 3 of them.
Yeah. I
so.
live in California. The government wants to take
5
whole
of them.
lot more than
6
that.
of them. Yeah, exactly. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I did is real quick is my daughter would go to the mall and you can buy some clothes. She'd want to buy, $200 jeans. I'm like, oh, no. That is never happening. I'm way too cheap. So we gave her something called a Visa Bucks card. And we sat down and we said, and this is when she was a teenager, you get your hair done once, you can get your nails done once, you can you get this much money for clothes here. So I took her to the mall the first day she had it, and she came up with 2 pair of jeans. I go, like, it's up to you. You know how much is on your card? Put them back.
Yes.
For the first time ever, because she now had a finite budget on this little, it's really just a
it runs
card.
out. It's all finite.
Yes. And when you run out, you run out. Don't
Let me tell you something. For more. I can shop anywhere I wanted. I order my clothes from Amazon Essentials and Target. Yeah. I like Target t-shirts, and Amazon Essentials sweatpants are the most comfortable pieces of pants in the planet. So I get my Levi's jeans at JCPenney's or wherever I can find them on sale.
Mine are Kohl's.
That's right. Yeah. Give me I've got a few good things. I got some nice things. I'm not gonna lie, but most of the time, just give me what I want. So why don't you tell everyone where they can find you and where the best place to follow you is? Because his podcasts are really good, very inspirational and educational both. So the best place to start is on the Flipped Lifestyle podcast. Just Spotify, Apple, wherever. We're a top podcast in business and marketing. And if you'd like to listen to us there, we have a couple podcasts every single week. You can follow us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter at FlippedLS, like Flipped Lifestyle. And of course, head over to flippedlifestyle.com. Check us out. And if we can help you and your family start a membership, we'll do that.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much for being with me today and for everything you shared with the audience. I think it's helpful and inspirational, and I'm so excited that you came on my
Jill.
show for me.
Thank you so much for letting me have this opportunity to talk to you. It's awesome stuff.
Thank you again for joining me today. And make sure you subscribe to this channel because I'll be posting great interviews like today's, as well as other information for anyone who needs to market and grow their small business in the most simple and cost-effective way possible. Don't forget to click the very first link in the description or the show notes and check out the Flip Your Life community completely free for 30 days. No obligation. And you have all access to everything in there, the course, the community, the Q&As. Check it out. I think you're going to be really happy you did. And in that 30 days, you're going to get a great indication and know, this place is the right place for me. So once again, thank you. And I will see you in the next episode. And don't forget to subscribe.